Welcome back to PC Police Chase, where just a few seconds of bad decisions can turn an ordinary situation into a chaotic pursuit. Everything unfolds faster than you might expect, so if you're ready for tense moments until the very end, let's begin right now. On the 20th of April, 2025, in Oxon Hill, Maryland, officers with the Prince George's County Police Department were dispatched to an apartment on Indian Head Highway after a report of a serious violent incident. At around 8:20 a.m., police found two victims, one man and one woman, suffering from stab wounds. The apartment had also been set on fire after the attack. Law enforcement immediately expanded the search for the person involved. Then, at approximately 10:15 a.m., 911 dispatchers received another report of a similar incident in the area of St. George Boulevard, where police quickly located the suspected man armed with a knife.
Give me the radio, 7-8 knife, 7-8 knife. Drop that gun! Drop it! Drop it! Drop the gun! Drop the gun! Drop the gun! Drop it! Drop it! Drop it! Drop it! Drop it! Drop the gun!
As officers approached, the man was still holding the knife in his hand. Police repeatedly ordered him to drop the weapon, but he refused to comply. Instead of stopping, he began moving toward one of the officers, quickly closing the safe distance between them. In that moment, officers had to back away while continuing to give commands, because just a few more steps could have turned the knife into an immediate threat to the person closest to him.
Drop that knife!
As the man continued advancing with the knife in his hand, two officers opened fire to stop the threat. The man was struck, but continued moving for several more steps before falling to the ground. Officers then moved in, disarmed him, secured the scene, and began providing first aid until medical personnel arrived. He was transported to a local hospital, where he was later pronounced dead. Following the incident, authorities identified the man as 44-year-old Avon Bucknor Jr. He was believed to be the suspect in the stabbing of two people and the apartment fire that occurred earlier that same morning. One of the two victims was later released from the hospital, while the other continued receiving treatment. In accordance with standard procedure after police-involved shootings, the officers who fired their weapons were temporarily placed on administrative leave while the incident is reviewed. A domestic violence incident left two victims injured, an apartment burned, and ended only a few hours later on the street when the man armed with a knife refused to stop after officers gave their final commands. At approximately 9:50 a.m. on Saturday, the 17th of May 2025, in the 1700 block of West William Cannon Drive in Austin, Texas, 911 dispatchers received multiple calls about a man in a wheelchair moving in the roadway with what appeared to be a black handgun resting on his lap. Another witness later reported that the man had pointed the gun at her, prompting the Austin Police Department to dispatch officers to the scene to handle a potentially armed situation in a public area.
Stop! Frank 210, he is going eastbound on the north curb line. Direction of fire, still going to be westbound. I got a lot of traffic.
At around 9:53 a.m., Officer Jackson arrived and approached the man while repeatedly ordering him to stop. The man did not comply and continued moving his wheelchair onto the sidewalk while the officer followed and tried to keep nearby civilians away from the danger zone. The situation became even more tense when the man suddenly turned to face the officer, refused to raise his hands as commanded, and moved the black handgun-like object in the direction of police.
Stop! Put your hands up! Put your hands up! Put your hands up! Put your hands up! What's your hand? Drop the gun! Drop the gun! Drop the gun!
At approximately 9:56 a.m., when the handgun-like object was pointed in his direction, Officer Jackson opened fire, striking the man. After the initial gunfire, the man was still sitting upright and had not dropped the object in his hand, prompting the officer to fire again to end the threat. Backup officers then moved in, secured the scene, and began providing first aid. The man was transported to South Austin Hospital, but later died from his injuries.
Put your hands up! You good? Yes, sir. He still has the gun under him.
Following the incident, authorities identified the man as Danny Palomino. The object recovered at the scene was later determined to be a Glock-style airgun designed to look like a real firearm. In accordance with standard procedure for police-involved shootings, Officer Jackson was temporarily placed on administrative leave while the incident is reviewed. The initial 911 calls described a man in a wheelchair with a gun on his lap. But when that object was raised toward an officer in a crowded public area, police had only seconds to make a decision based on what they saw in the moment, not what would later be confirmed in an evidence room. On the 11th of September 2024, in Miami-Dade County, Florida, Florida Highway Patrol personnel received information from dispatch that the Hialeah Police Department was tracking a stolen white cargo van being driven dangerously in the area. Corporal Lasso Silva, along with K9 Axel, quickly joined to assist. When the van was spotted near the NW 74th Street ramp, officers attempted to initiate a traffic stop, but the driver refused to comply and accelerated away.
It's a white work van. White work van. All right, South River Drive.
The pursuit quickly escalated through a heavily congested traffic area. Corporal Silva moved in and attempted an initial PIT maneuver to stop the van, but the driver continued fleeing. While trying to escape the police formation, the cargo van collided with a civilian vehicle near NW 73rd Court, then kept moving. With the stolen van continuing to pose a serious risk of causing additional crashes, law enforcement stayed behind it and looked for a safer opportunity to bring the pursuit to an end.
Signal 4, signal 4. 10-4, but the vehicle's continuing. The vehicle's continuing.
Near NW 72nd Avenue, Corporal Silva performed a second PIT maneuver, causing the cargo van to spin sideways and come to a stop at the median. As soon as the vehicle was blocked in, 3 people inside opened the doors and fled on foot from the scene. The front seat passenger was quickly taken into custody near the van. Meanwhile, assisting units coordinated the search for the remaining occupants. K9 gunner was deployed to track the fleeing driver, while the rear passenger was later taken into custody by Hialeah officers. A system check confirmed that the van had been reported stolen in a theft case dating back to August 31. Following the incident, authorities identified the driver as Noslan U. Ruiz, the front seat passenger as Abraham Carrillo, and the rear passenger as Yamil Salas. All 3 were taken to a local hospital for medical evaluation before being transferred to the TGK Correctional Center in Miami-Dade County. The case began with a stolen cargo van, but once the driver fled, collided with a civilian vehicle and forced all 3 occupants to run after the pit maneuver. It was no longer a simple vehicle recovery. It became a multi-agency pursuit ending in handcuffs, K9 tracking, and new criminal charges. At approximately 10:16 a.m. on the 11th of May 2025, in the Walmart parking lot in Senatobia, Mississippi, An officer with the Senatobia Police Department spotted a black sedan with Tennessee plates parked in a disabled parking space. When the officer approached to ask about a handicap placard, the driver said she had just dropped off her grandmother. However, the officer stated that he had been watching the vehicle since it entered the lot and did not see any elderly person get out. He also noted that the front passenger seat was filled with belongings. The situation grew more tense when the officer discovered children in the back seat who were not wearing seat belts and asked the driver to provide her documents.
Where's your lying to me? You're refusing to identify yourself.
I want a supervisor or something because you feeling real hostile and shit. I need you to get a supervisor because you sitting up here fucking with me for no motherfucking reason.
There's no need.
I need a supervisor because you mess with me for no reason and I told you I would move. I told you I would move.
No, it's just not that.
Yeah, you mess with me for no reason. I got my kids in here. I do not feel safe with you doing this.
You're escalating this. You're going to
Come on, man. Come on. Do what you gotta do.
Step out here, please. Step out here.
You can get somebody else here.
Get out of the vehicle now before I make you get out.
Instead of quickly providing her documents so the check could be completed, the woman began arguing, yelling profanity, and refusing to follow the officer's instructions. As she continued rummaging around inside the vehicle, the officer repeatedly ordered her to step out so he could control the situation more safely. The driver refused to leave the car, forcing the officer to take hold of her arm and remove her from the vehicle. Moments later, the encounter turned into a physical struggle beside the car, while several people nearby began gathering and shouting in the parking lot.
On your side. Roll on your side, ma'am. Roll on your side. Roll on your side. Let me sit up, okay? You sit up. Sit up for me, please.
As she was pulled from the vehicle, the woman fell onto the parking lot pavement and continued resisting the attempt to place her in handcuffs. The officer had to hold her on the ground while trying to control both of her hands, as the crowd standing nearby added even more pressure to the situation. Backup officers later arrived, helped move the crowd away, secured the woman, and placed her in the back seat of a patrol vehicle.
I'm sorry, it's over, okay? Explain to me what happened to the vehicle. I see you parked here in handicap. I see you talked to you about this. So what happened?
My son is handicapped and my grandma is. But we was in there. My grandma was in the store, but my auntie was driving her car for her, and I was trying to.
Following the incident, authorities identified the driver as Brishari Faulkner. She was taken to the station and faced charges including disorderly conduct, resisting arrest, and violating disabled parking regulations. What began with a Walmart parking space and a request for documents escalated when the driver refused to cooperate. The argument intensified, and a crowd gathered around the scene. It turned into a public arrest in the middle of the parking lot. Sometimes, what turns a small situation into something much bigger is not the original violation, but the moment one side decides it can no longer be resolved with words. At approximately 12:30 p.m. on the 20th of April 2025, in the 3300 block of Arterburn Avenue in Louisville, Kentucky, officers with the Louisville Metro Police Department were dispatched to the scene after a report of an intoxicated man yelling and breaking the window of an apartment. When officers arrived to investigate and attempted to calm the situation down, the disturbance call quickly turned into a dangerous confrontation when the man was found to be armed with a knife.
Nothing at all.
Looks like a knife.
It is.
Okay, I'm going to tell you right now, if you reach for that knife, I'm going to shoot you. You understand that? You understand what I'm
Yeah, but
saying?
you can't arrest me. You Mason?
I'm not
You a
arresting you.
Mason?
I'm just telling you,
Are
if you
you
reach for
Mason?
that knife, I'm going to shoot you.
Are you a Mason?
You understand that?
Or are you Mason?
No, I'm not a Mason.
Yeah, you are.
Are you?
Yeah, you are.
Okay.
I'm a Hatumi, so it don't even
So,
matter.
what's going on with you?
Nothing. She write that all the time.
5:15, Baker. You can cancel the phone. We'll tell you 6 right this minute. So, what's going on with you? Yep. Hold up. Hold up. We need to talk to you and find out what's going on. Yep.
Go ahead, touch me.
All right. All right. Put your hands behind your back.
No.
Put your hands behind your back.
No.
Put your hands behind your back. Behind your back.
Although officers had ordered him not to touch the knife, the man continued moving closer and resisted when police moved in to arrest him. During the ground struggle, the taser failed to control the situation, and the man pulled the knife, stabbing one officer at close range. Another officer immediately opened fire, seriously wounding the man. Police then secured the knife, provided first aid, and called for emergency medical assistance, but the man later died at the hospital. The officer who was stabbed did not suffer serious injuries, thanks to his protective body armor.
Hot to me, so it don't even
So,
matter.
what's going on with you?
Nothing. You like that all the time.
So, what's going on with you?
Now stop right there. Stop.
Following the incident, authorities identified the man as 36-year-old Ahtume McCollum. According to the information provided, McCollum was the person involved in the initial call about an intoxicated man yelling and breaking an apartment window. A disturbance call may begin with shouting and shattered glass, but once a knife appears during a close-range struggle on the ground, nearly every safe option can disappear within seconds. On the 2nd of April 2025, in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, officers with the Oklahoma City Police Department were called to assist after Del City authorities began tracking a suspicious vehicle that was fleeing from them. The vehicle was believed to be connected to a wanted subject, prompting police to quickly form a pursuit and attempt to initiate a stop. However, the driver refused to comply and continued fleeing through multiple city streets, turning the effort to apprehend a wanted person into a dangerous urban pursuit.
I believe so. We're going to be getting westbound from Sunny Lane. We're getting on I-40 at the TVI, just on the on-ramp, westbound. Traffic's light, speeds are about.
During the pursuit, someone inside the vehicle was seen throwing a loaded magazine out of the window, raising the danger level because the possibility of a firearm being inside the car was now clear. The vehicle continued moving as police units worked to end the chase before it spread into an area with heavier traffic. As the pursuit approached the intersection of Pennsylvania Avenue and Reno Avenue, law enforcement decided to use a tactical vehicle intervention to stop the car.
Someone doesn't mind grabbing that magazine for us, it'll be a big help. Coming to the 10 exit right now, we'll let you know what they do. They are going to get off on 10. Off on 10. Light traffic to no traffic, speeds 70 miles an hour. Looks like we're going to try to go northbound on 10. Northbound on 10. TBI, TBI, TBI.
The TVI caused the target vehicle to spin out and stop in the roadway, ending the attempt to flee. Immediately afterward, officers moved in on the vehicle, issued commands to the occupants, and took the suspects into custody at the scene. During the search, police recovered a handgun along with other dangerous weapons inside the vehicle. Both people in the car were taken into custody, and based on the information provided, there were no reported casualties after the vehicle intervention. Following the arrest, authorities identified the primary suspect as 34-year-old Dashane Jefferson, who had an outstanding felony warrant out of Jackson County, Oklahoma. According to the records provided, Jefferson had a prior felony conviction from 2018 and was accused of having gang affiliations. Investigative documents also allege that Jefferson had previously tried to sell a handgun and claimed the weapon had been used in a shooting in Wellington, Texas. Jefferson and the other occupant were booked into the Oklahoma County Detention Center. Jefferson faces charges including unlawful possession of a firearm by a convicted felon, endangering others while fleeing from police, and fleeing to avoid arrest out of Texas. What began as an assist call from Del City ended with a TVI, recovered firearms, and a federal case far more serious than the few minutes spent trying to outrun patrol units. At around 7 p.m. on Saturday, the 22nd of March 2025, In Alliance, Ohio, officers with the Alliance Police Department spotted a driver who was wanted on multiple warrants out of Stark County, Carroll County, and the Canton Police Department. When police moved in to stop the vehicle, the driver refused to pull over and instead accelerated away, leading law enforcement into a pursuit that stretched across multiple county jurisdictions.
Down 14. 14 is going to be south. 14 south.
Just threw a tire iron at me. Just threw a tire iron at me.
Alright, we just entered Smith Township's jurisdiction, just passed over 12. Definitely hitting us south on 14.
During the pursuit, the driver repeatedly engaged in dangerous behavior aimed at interfering with the patrol vehicles behind him. According to the information provided, he threw multiple objects out of the window, including a metal bar, chocolate milk, and a knife, turning the chase into more than just an attempt to flee, but a direct threat to the officers pursuing him. Records later showed that the driver had multiple prior arrests, multiple license suspensions, and had previously been involved in pursuits with Alliance Police.
Be careful with this bridge up ahead. Be careful with the bridge.
Southbound, we're into Salem. We're into Salem.
I'm behind you, Tuck.
Copy. We're going westbound. Westbound onto West State. Westbound onto West State.
To end the escalating danger, police deployed spike strips along the vehicle's path. The strips damaged the tires, causing the vehicle to lose the ability to maintain speed. It then struck a road sign before veering off into a field. Once the vehicle stopped, officers quickly moved in, secured the driver, and removed him from the driver's seat. A later search of the vehicle uncovered methamphetamine, along with related evidence.
From the car, goes outbound.
After his arrest, the driver was identified as 41-year-old William Wolf. According to the information provided, Wolf had 28 prior arrests, fewer than 19 driver's license suspensions, and had already fled from the Alliance Police Department twice before. Following this incident, Wolf was booked into the Stark County Jail and faced charges including fleeing, vandalism of government property, assault on a police officer, and possession of methamphetamine. Just after 9:35 a.m. on the 6th of February 2025, in Illinois, the Illinois State Police received information about a suspect vehicle connected to an armed robbery in Texas traveling on I-74 Champaign County. Units began tracking the vehicle as it continued north toward McLean County. At around 10:30 a.m., the vehicle stopped at a gas station in the Lexington area, giving law enforcement an opportunity to move in and arrest the occupants.
See your hands. Lay down, on the ground now. Stay right there. Keep your hands where they're at. Come secure this guy. Hey, get this guy right here. Hands up! Hands up now!
As officers moved in at the gas station, one person exited the vehicle and went inside the convenience store, while the driver remained seated inside. Law enforcement quickly secured the person who had entered the store, while ordering the driver in the vehicle to raise his hands and follow commands. But instead of complying, the driver allegedly pulled out a handgun and pointed it toward the officers, turning the operation from the arrest of felony suspects into a close-range armed threat.
Kick it.
When the gun was pointed toward law enforcement, Illinois State Police officers opened fire to stop the immediate threat. The driver was struck multiple times inside the vehicle. Immediately afterward, police secured the gas station scene, recovered the handgun, and began providing first aid before EMS transported the wounded driver to the hospital. The other occupant was not injured and was taken into custody at the scene as part of the investigation.
All right. Send medical.
Where's he bleeding from?
Everywhere. Yeah.
Following the incident, the driver was identified as 8-year-old Ryan Aaron Stanley Hurst, while the other occupant was identified as 9-year-old Joseph Martin Hernandez. Hurst was seriously injured but was later reported to be in stable condition at the hospital. Hernandez was arrested without injury. The case was connected to the investigation of an armed robbery in Texas, and in accordance with standard procedure for police-involved shootings, the officers who fired their weapons were temporarily placed on administrative leave while the incident is reviewed. What seemed like a suspect vehicle surveillance operation that would end with an arrest at a gas station changed in seconds when one movement from the driver's seat, reaching for a gun, turned the daytime takedown into an officer-involved shooting. At around 5 a.m. on the 11th of February 2025, in the area of Delaware Avenue in Dayton, Ohio, officers with the Dayton Police Department found a vehicle improperly parked in the roadway. Inside the vehicle was a 37-year-old man lying unconscious behind the wheel while the engine was still running. After several attempts to wake him, officers ordered the driver to turn off the engine and step out so they could check on his safety. Instead, he refused to comply and suddenly drove away from the scene.
Hey, roll down the window. Put your car in park. Car in park. Car in park. Hey! Nope. Stop! Put it in park. Put it in park. Nope. Knox, hang on. Knox, let it go.
As he fled, the driver nearly collided with a patrol vehicle while officers were trying to bring the situation under control. At one point, he stopped briefly but then accelerated again and continued fleeing through the residential area. The escape attempt ended when the vehicle lost control and slammed into a light pole, knocking it down onto the roadway and causing heavy damage to the front of the car.
I'm sorry.
Get down on the ground now! Get down on the ground now! Give me your hand!
I am, bro.
Get the cuff on his brain.
After the crash, the driver still did not fully cooperate with arrest commands. Officers moved in on the vehicle and had to deploy a taser to subdue the man inside. Once he was brought under control, he was handcuffed and removed from the scene. During a search of the passenger compartment, police found a loaded firearm, reportedly containing a total of 34 rounds within reach of the driver.
I got a pistol, at least one.
Following the incident, the driver was identified as a 37-year-old man. He was taken for a medical evaluation and was later booked into the Montgomery County Jail. According to the information provided, he was accused of unlawful possession of a firearm, resisting law enforcement, vandalism of government property, and driving under the influence. The incident began with a man found unconscious behind the wheel, but within minutes, it turned into a fleeing vehicle, a light pole knocked down, a taser deployment, and a fully loaded firearm found inside the car. Some traffic stops appear to be simple welfare checks until the person behind the wheel decides to turn them into a criminal case. Early on the morning of the 14th of February 2025, in Olympia, Washington, officers with the Olympia Police Department attempted to stop a white pickup truck traveling on the roadway. Instead of complying with the traffic stop, the driver accelerated away, leading law enforcement into a pursuit toward the Tumwater area. The truck even passed near the local police station while still trying to avoid being stopped.
Stop! Stop or you're gonna get bit by a dog! Stop! Stop it! Exit the vehicle! Exit the vehicle with your hands up! Get back in the car. Whoa!
During the pursuit, officers made several attempts to end the escape using PIT maneuvers, but the driver continued steering away and trying to break free from the patrol units. When the pickup turned around and headed back toward the Tumwater boundary, police performed a decisive PIT maneuver, sending the vehicle off its path and leaving it stuck against a tree near the roadside. Although the truck could no longer keep moving, the driver locked himself inside the cab and refused to come out. After the vehicle was stopped, the driver barricaded himself for nearly an hour and reportedly admitted that he was intoxicated. Police used less lethal measures, including breaking the window, deploying chemical irritants into the vehicle, and repeatedly ordering him to surrender, but none of those efforts worked. Eventually, K9 Igo was deployed into the cab, forcing the driver to crawl out of the truck, where he was taken into custody at the scene. After the incident, the driver was taken for a medical evaluation, while a sheriff's deputy who suffered minor injuries was also treated. 2 patrol vehicles sustained minor damage from collisions during the effort to stop the truck. The suspect now faces multiple charges, including driving under the influence, 2 counts of fleeing or eluding police, harming a police K9, and 2 counts of assaulting law enforcement officers.